And so, the path to emotional liberation lies in detachment. Detachment from the need for external validation. Detachment from the cycle of pursuit and possession. When a woman knows her worth, she chooses. She does not chase. She does not beg for love or affection. She knows that love is not something to be earned, but something to be freely given. It is in her silence that she becomes most powerful. It is in her stillness that her value becomes undeniable. She understands that the greatest gift she can give herself is the gift of choosing herself first. And in choosing herself, she becomes irresistible not because she is trying to be, but because she has stopped playing the game of chasing. In that space of detachment, she becomes whole, she becomes empowered, and when a man sees this, when he sees her strength, her self-assurance, her independence, he may try to chase her again, but this time, it will be different. She will no longer be the object of his projections. She will be the woman who stands firm in her own truth, choosing herself above all else. And when you understand this, when you truly realize that you are already enough, you will no longer need to chase. Because the woman who knows her worth doesn't chase, she chooses. Carl Jung spoke of the anima, the inner feminine aspect of the male psyche. It is in the anima that a man projects his deepest emotional and unconscious needs that he may not even be aware of. The anima is his idealized image of the feminine, the part of him that he has not integrated. This image can be anything: a mother, a lover, a muse, a savior. And like all projections, the anima is not the real woman. It is a distorted image, one that reflects not her truth, but the unacknowledged desires and weaknesses of the man himself. When a woman withholds herself, she forces the man to confront his projections. She does not allow herself to be merely an object of his desires. She does not bend to his fantasy. She stands firm in her own truth, in her own power, allowing him to see her for who she truly is. This is unsettling for a man. It forces him to see the parts of himself that are still fragmented, still shadowed. The more a woman knows her worth and remains unattached to his projections, the more she challenges him to integrate his own unconscious. When she gives too much, she becomes a reflection of his own unprocessed desires, an image that can never truly fulfill him. But when she holds back, when she does not surrender everything at once, she becomes a force that he cannot simply possess. She becomes the very mirror of his own needs that cannot be fulfilled without him confronting his shadow. But what does this mean for you, the woman who stands in the midst of all this, the one who has been giving herself, body and soul, and finds herself always at the mercy of his attention, waiting for that elusive moment when he will choose her over everything else? This is where the concept of ego comes into play. Ego is the self-concept that we create, the mask we present to the world, and it is constantly in need of validation. The more a person clings to their ego, the more they seek validation from others. The more they seek validation, the more they allow themselves to be controlled by the projections of others. When a woman chases validation, whether through her actions, her presence, or her sacrifices, she feeds into a cycle of neediness. This neediness is what keeps her stuck. She doesn't need validation from him. She wants it. She wants his love, his attention, his approval. And in wanting it so badly, she loses herself. She becomes entangled in his projections, in his need for control. The woman who knows her worth doesn't need validation. She doesn't chase after it. She understands that validation cannot be given by someone else. It must come from within. When she understands her own power, her own strength, she no longer seeks validation from the man who cannot see her for who she truly is. Instead, she becomes the chooser. She becomes the one who chooses her path, her life, her relationships. Have you ever wondered why some women, despite offering everything a man could possibly want, are still the ones left chasing? They give their love, their time, their energy, yet find themselves caught in a game where they are never fully chosen. It's not about what they lack. It's not about who they are or aren't. It's something deeper, something invisible, something far more powerful than simple attraction or desire. Some women become the object of a man's obsession, yet they find themselves standing on the outside, always striving, always trying to meet his needs, always waiting for that moment when he will finally see them. It seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? Why is it that the women who withhold, who choose themselves, become the ones who command the deepest desires of men? Why does the man who wants to hold on so tightly often push away the woman who gives him everything? The answer lies in the psychology of desire, of the unconscious forces at play, and most of all, in the dynamics of power, attraction, and projection. At the core of this dynamic is the paradoxical nature of human desire. You see, men are often drawn to the unattainable, the mysterious, the thing that lies just beyond their reach. The moment a woman gives herself fully, without any hesitation, without holding anything back, something shifts. She is no longer a challenge. The chase, the pursuit, begins to fade. It is no longer her that he desires. It becomes the pursuit itself, the very thing that once made her irresistible. It is this inherent tension between the chase and the actual possession that makes men obsess. When a woman is available, when she presents herself without barriers, the very act of knowing her becomes an expectation. And the moment expectations enter the equation, desire begins to fade. Men, like the rest of us, have unconscious desires, desires shaped by their egos and their shadows. A man's unconscious is a mirror to his projections. And here lies the rub. He projects onto her everything he desires but cannot achieve. When she becomes available, when she gives too much of herself too soon, she no longer exists in that realm of projection. He can have her, but in the process, he loses the very thing that he was attracted to: the challenge, the mystery, the chase. This is why some women become the object of obsession, not because they are playing games or acting cold, not because they withhold their love, but because they have learned how to withhold themselves. They know the difference between being available and being possessive. They know how to let the man want them, not as a means of validation, but because they understand that desire, true desire, can only exist in the space of unattainability.